Yes. Hello. Welcome, everybody. We're gonna wait just a few minutes, seconds till everybody's coming in. Yeah. Welcome to this introduction to the BIAN Architecture Practitioner Certification webinar. So we can already go to the second slide, Nish. So, a warm welcome to you, to everybody dialing in from all over the world. So while we're waiting for the last people to come in, you can look at the globe right there and identify where you're from or where you're going. We would like to know if you're from the north of this or the South Pole. That will be very interesting for us. If there's somebody practicing BIAN from the North or the South Pole, do let us know in the chat, in the Q&A. That's where we will be collecting and answering questions throughout this session. And at the end, we will also discuss them in person. So again, warm welcome to everybody. Then when we go to the next slide, to the introduction, my name is Maurits van der Plas, Director of Van Haren Learning Solutions, and I'm here with Nish, Global Head of Banking and Financial Services at CC&C Solution. Nishan represents one of our training partners, one of the BIAN training partners that has been involved from the beginning, from the get-go. And he and CSNC, amongst others, did major contributions in creating the Banking Architecture Practitioner course and certification exam. I will be presenting instead of Hans today. So those are big shoes to fill. I will do my best, and I hope you will enjoy and learn a bit from this webinar. So this webinar is not a webinar that will replace the BIAN Banking Architecture training course. We're going to tell you what the course is all about. So we'll be telling you about who this course is for, what you will learn, how it works, a bit about the certification, the different certification levels, and how they relate to each other. And then we have the Q&A. But first, starting with BIAN. So maybe not everybody knows BIAN. BIAN stands for the Banking Industry Architecture Network. And BIAN was created in 2008, and that's also where its vision originates from. So back in 2008, when BIAN was created, it was all about functionality and connecting the functionalities of the various IT landscapes of banks. Then later it went into more the interoperability with the outside world of the banking ecosystem. That's when BIAN started to create its API landscape. So currently it has more than 259 APIs, which have over 1,000 downloads. So feel free to have a look at the API landscape and leverage them and download them whenever you can, use them to your benefit. So BIAN is constantly evolving. We're now in the age of AI, and you see that the mission that BIAN strives for is still relevant and is still applicable. But BIAN stands for is all about the industry architecture network. So it's a network organization, and in that capability, it is made by the members for the members. So all the content that is being created within BIAN is created with the help and the vision of all the various members. And if we then have a look at who these members are, we're first going to see the financial institutions that are the BIAN members. So these are financial institutions from all over the globe. We see here Absa Bank from South Africa, such as Standard Bank. We have financial institutions from the Middle East, such as Warburg Bank. We have the US banks, such as JP Morgan Chase and Wells Fargo. BCP from Peru. We have Canadian banks, such as BMO. Jyske Bank from Denmark. So all over the world, BIAN is represented by the various member organizations. But it also has partners. These partners are consultancy firms and solution providers. Again, you see all the well-known names around the globe included, IBM, McKinsey, Bain. I want to say, you name them, Salesforce, Red Hat, they're all part, Accenture, they're all part of the BIAN ecosystem. This even goes 2 pages long, the BIAN training partners overview. And again, all these partners contribute to the content of the BIAN ecosystem. But BIAN also has a connection with standard bodies and training partners. Here on the top end, you see the standard bodies. So the collaboration with the various standards banks, such as IFX, the Open Group, and ISO, is such that BIAN exchanges the standard content, ensuring that nobody is reinventing the wheel, that all the standard bodies reuse each other's standards, and that it connects effectively with one another. And below, you also see the leading training organizations, education partners that are contributing to BIAN. They're also member organizations. And they had a very big contribution in creating all the learning content for BIAN. Creating all the learning content for BIAN is being done in the learning pillar. So the learning pillar on the next slide. Yeah, thank you, Nishan. So the learning pillar is BIAN is a subset of pillars, and one of these pillars is the learning pillar. Here in the top end, we see the objective of the learning pillar. It's basically making BIAN knowledge available to others through education. And over the last couple of years, we've, I think, achieved a lot. There's a large amount of trainings being done. There's a large amount of professionals being certified. And last year, the training pillar working group, learning pillar working group worked a lot, if I can say so, to create the new certifications that are out now mainly. What we will be discussing today will be the Banking Architecture Practitioner certification. And there's also some things coming up still. So that's what you see below, what's next. So this group is constantly meeting once every 2 weeks to discuss what new developments should be worked on. So on the back end is happening a lot. Creating all these certifications and trainings took over a year to create because it's, it's new content. So that's not done overnight. And then indeed, if we go look at what has been created, has been established, here we see an overview of the new training and certification landscape. So on the left side, the essentials level, that's the business value and benefits session. This is not, there's not a certification attached to this. You could call it a master class or to this master class or essential course. This is really intended or meant for C-level or decision makers. A 4-hour or 8-hour workshop to understand what BIAN is for and what the benefits of BIAN are. If we then look at the certifications of BIAN, it starts at the BIAN Foundation course and certification. That course and certification already exists for several years, but we now revised the foundation course. It's now no longer about banking architecture, it's now more a BIAN Foundation course, making the foundation course available for a broader audience so that everybody working with BIAN in an architecture team or whichever team can benefit from understanding BIAN and what the benefits of BIAN are. And after doing the foundation course, so this is basically the prerequisite for all the levels, you can specialize per specialty, basically, and do one of the practitioner courses. So indeed, today we're going to discuss the Banking Architecture Practitioner course. This course is now a 2 day course. So the foundation course used to be a 2-day course. Now it's a 1-day course going more into the foundations. And the practitioner course, the name already says it, is now more about practice. So it's also much more practice. It's not only theory, what it used to be, but it will be also how do you apply BIAN. And how do you apply BIAN? That's a subject for which I will ask Nish to please take over and tell us more about it.
Thank you, Moritz, for that introduction. And hi, everyone. It's great to see so many people online from wherever in the world you are. So good morning or afternoon or evening. We're going to spend the next, shall we say, half an hour to 40 minutes just giving you a very good flavor of what the Architecture Practitioner certification course is. So we will cover things like who it's for, why you should do it, what you can expect to get out of it. And what I'd like to ask as we go through this is please type your questions into the Q&A chat. Moritz will attempt to answer live in writing if it's something that we can quickly type an answer out to. But we will also leave time at the end to address any questions that deserve a deeper explanation or that we didn't get to answer via the chat. So please throw your questions in there, and anything that we can't get through today as part of this session, we will follow up post as well. So without further ado, we should always start with the why, right? So why invest in training? Why invest in going through the BIAN certification? It's time out of your day. Why is it important? And I think we can all agree, regardless of your views on where AI is heading and which direction it's going to take, it's very obvious that things are rapidly changing all the time, and that's not new, right? We've moved from mainframe to internet to cloud. We've gone to mobile. We've technologies have evolved, and the world of AI is just the next iteration in that. So what's really, really important is agility. And when you do the course, you will very quickly see that that's kind of the running theme and the sort of foundational design principle of BIAN. It is, how do we make the bank more agile? How do we make it future ready? And to do that, it's about breaking complex, intertwined, monolithic capabilities and processes into modular, composable blocks that can be brought together in different ways to achieve whatever it is the customer or the regulator or your stakeholder needs. And so some of the themes are, of course, modernizing your legacy estate. That most of banking tech is decades old. Banking was one of the first industries to adopt technology at scale, which was great. But of course, we now pay the price of the many decades of legacy that we have to drag with us. So modernizing legacies is always a top of mind theme for CIOs and the boards. The enabling API ecosystems is more important than ever. So in the past, we had the open APIs, we had embedded finance, we had this explosion in ecosystem interoperability. But now with agentic frameworks and MCP, it is even more important to enable connectedness and to standardize that. Related to that is the integration cost of embracing this ecosystem within your IT estate. Something like 40 or 50%, maybe 60% of typical technology transformation cost is sunk in integration. And so addressing that is a key principle in BIAN. And last but not least, it's about being future ready, right? So how do you remain agile, and how can you pivot quickly as the next wave comes in? All of this is, kind of contributing to this common theme, right? How do you lean into the world of AI? How do you go from pilot to production? And so the why of BIAN is, with AI now, is even more important, right? So hopefully these themes on the page resonate with those on the call. In terms of where the practitioner course sits, Moritz touched on this earlier. We have the essentials, that's optional, and it's really targeted kind of your leadership. It's very, very good thing to put people through so that your executive understand what BIAN is, why they should do it, and how they support you in it. The foundation course is the beginning of this journey. That's mandatory. That forms the bedrock of the learning journey. And from there, you go into the practitioner courses, of which right now there are 4. The architecture practitioner, which is the topic of today's webinar. And then, as Moritz showed, you've got solution design, data, and business transformation as well. So today, just to reiterate, is about the architecture practitioner course. In terms of who it's for, the short answer is it's for any architect shaping the bank. So it is designed for architects. It is the ideal next step after BIAN Foundation. If you are a solution design, if you're an enterprise architect, a solution architect, a domain architect, or a head of architecture, or a chief architect. So if you've got architect in your title, this is the course for you. If you sit in other roles like a solution designer, a data architect, a business transformation practitioner, then the other practitioner courses that we showed would be more suitable for you. It's not to say that you're not going to get value out of this, but to be really, really clear, this is the course for the architect shaping the bank. As we mentioned earlier, the course is broken up into 2 days. Day one effectively covers the concepts and really focuses on kind of the business lens. So there is a recap of the foundation and core concepts, but it then goes into the BIAN meta model in depth. It covers the service landscape and its use as an enterprise reference blueprint. It also introduces the importance of value streams and business capabilities. These are, all banks are in some way, shape, or form using these, whether that's what you call them, and linking from your business and your strategy and your business architecture through to your enterprise architecture and your application is made all the more powerful if you can bring in your value streams and business capabilities. And it also then covers BIAN for the business architecture and the change portfolios. Day two, we'll dive in a little bit deeper in the detail of the information architecture, covering the business object model and control record model. It covers the integration architecture aspects of the service operations and semantic APIs. It also talks about how you tailor BIAN for your enterprise. This is super important because while BIAN is the last word as an industry standard in a banking architecture, it is not applicable as is to your unique enterprise. There is tailoring required. You have to extend it. You may have to change aspects of it, but there's a way to do it without violating the patterns and principles so that you still get value out of it while making sure that it is applicable to you. So tailoring is an extremely important concept to learn. It also goes into the application architecture and APIs. And lastly, talks about sort of how BIAN plays with TOGAF. BIAN has never positioned itself to be a replacement to other industry standards. You can think of it more as a connecting hub that can bring standards, whether it's ISO, PSD2 open banking, FDX, TOGAF. These are all have their place in the industry, and BIAN is a great way to bring these together into a consistent whole. There's also a case study at the end where we step through kind of applying what we have learned into a practical use case. So it does cover quite a lot. And what we'll do in the next few slides is just give you a bit of a glimpse into kind of what you can expect. So firstly, if we talk about the format and delivery, the trainings are delivered by live accredited BIAN training organizations. The trainer mixes in concepts with worked examples. You will learn how to navigate the repository, and there'll be exercises that you do together. So it is about learning the concepts. It's about checking your understanding. It's about putting it into practice. And then towards the end, we will talk about the certification process as well. So it is very much a full sort of end-to-end learning and skills uplift. So we'll step through some of the concepts that it covers, and this is by necessity at a very high level of detail, right? I'm cramming kind of 2 days worth of content into about 20 minutes. So one thing that we go into in some depth is the service landscape. So for those of you who are familiar with BIAN, you would have heard this term. You've very likely seen the service landscape, and you're probably familiar with the analogy of the service landscape being likened to the periodic table of elements. For those of us that can remember our science and chemistry in high school. So just like the periodic table of elements, the BIAN service domains are a complete non-overlapping set of elemental capabilities. And these can be configured or brought together in different ways to model any process or capability that you want to surface. So some of the properties are that, they're complete and they're bounded. So it's a finite set. It covers all of banking with nothing essential left out. Every service domain is unique. It has a specific business role. It does not overlap with another service domain. They can be combined in lots of different ways. So there's no tight coupling between these. There's no sort of preordained order of how you need to assemble them. These are truly composable building blocks of capabilities. It's also a stable frame of reference. So the semantic definitions do not change. They are canonical. They are stable over time and across geographies. So it's a fantastic foundation on which to base your architecture, because the basis of your architecture, if it's not stable and if the meaning is not locked in, then you've got drift and you get confusion, and it sort of quickly falls apart. And lastly, it is organized to facilitate navigation. So it is grouped into business domains and business areas and arranged in such a way that you can find what you need fast. So the service landscape is an incredibly useful canvas. It's a way to organize your service domains, but it also gives you the starting point to create your own enterprise blueprint. As I mentioned, we also talk about value streams, and the value stream says what the bank must deliver. The service domains provide the how. So, for example, if you have to originate a customer agreement, your value stream may look something like this, right? The customer initiates the request, the bank identifies the needs, we then evaluate the risk, we activate the agreement, and then there's post-activation activities. Now, each of these value stream stages is delivered by orchestrating n number of service domains. And you've seen a few examples listed here: customer offer, party lifecycle management, etc. So we kind of show through the training how you assemble your value stages and your value streams using the service domains, and how that then links your capability model up into your your business architecture and ultimately into your strategy. The other core concept that we go into, of course, is the service domain itself. And there's quite a lot to cover with the service domain, starting with its kind of characteristics. There are 6 agile principles upon which the service domain design was based, and they're listed here. For those of you who went through the era of object-oriented programming, you might recognize, see some of these as familiar, and that's not a coincidence. These are very sound principles that predated BIAN. They predated, most modern tech. They're just very sound principles on which to build an agile, flexible, composable model. And so we talk about how these principles have been applied in the way service domains are designed. And the reason it's important to understand this is, as you start to tailor BIAN and as you start to extend it and to some extent customize it, understanding these principles is a great way to get some guardrails that keep you from accidentally breaking the patterns and accidentally introducing anti-patterns like overlapping service domains, unclear responsibilities, APIs that stop conforming to the data model. So the training actually really goes through those fundamentals so that you come away with not just a textbook understanding, but a genuine awareness of the way in which BIAN was put together, so that you can keep it consistent in your application. The training will also go quite in depth into the BIAN meta model. And what's shown here is a massive simplification, but the meta model is basically the model describing the model. So you're going in and looking at, how is BIAN itself modeled? What are the components that make up BIAN, of which some of these terms we've already touched on, right? The service landscape, the service domain. But we'll take you through a very comprehensive tour of the rest of the meta model that covers things like the control record and behavior qualifiers, the business object model, the service operations, semantic APIs, business scenarios, wireframes, asset types, generic artifacts, action terms. Like it is extremely comprehensive. So if you've come across these terms before, if you're applying them in what you're doing, hopefully what I just said made sense. But the way the training brings it together shows you how all of these elements interrelate, and more importantly, how you leverage those relationships in the meta model to remain consistent with BIAN's patterns. So as you go off and maybe elaborate your own APIs based on service operations, you will be able to construct with confidence API designs that will conform, because you have understood and followed the patterns that BIAN has laid out. So this meta model kind of concept and the walkthrough is extremely valuable. Another area that, from an architecture perspective, is super important is what we call the frame of reference. And if you work in architecture, no doubt at some point, or maybe you still do, you will think of these viewpoints in the enterprise, right? You've got a business landscape, an application and data landscape, and a technology landscape. And these are all effectively layers, right? Layers of how you see your business. Now, BIAN is a unifying frame of reference across these layers. And so the training will go into quite a bit of depth in how you apply BIAN at these layers. You will start to spot some commonality in the way it is adopted, but you will also see the nuances in how it applies. Say, for example, in the business landscape level, what kind of comes out, what stands out versus when you apply it at the application versus data versus technology. So from an architect's point of view, being able to apply BIAN as a frame of reference into your enterprise and do it correctly, consistently, and to suit kind of the enterprise priorities and needs is again hugely important, and the training takes you through that in depth. Another area that kind of we go into is how you sort of start to divide, conquer, and surface gaps by using service domains as the clear, non-overlapping building blocks in assembling capabilities, value streams, processes, etc. So as you learn to kind of stop thinking about processes as these kind of very rigid, static step one, step two, step three, and you start to think of it as an orchestration of capabilities, you can start to learn how to use BIAN to surface gaps and surface redundancies. So, for example, if you have a loan sale process, but your customer credit rating capability is only applicable to certain segments, then as you sort of map this out in BIAN, some of these gaps become obvious. You can kind of see, oh, okay, maybe we need to uplift this capability. Maybe we're sort of implementing it the wrong way. Maybe there's a different way to think about this. But it's a structured way to approach completeness and cohesion without proliferating duplicate applications and processes and things that tend to happen when banks go through transformation programs to bring in new capabilities. It almost always results in another layer of complexity, another layer of duplication. Whereas here the paradigm shift is, first understand what are the elemental building blocks of what your bank needs. And once you've clearly defined them and they're agreed and understood by both the business and technology, the way they map onto your business capabilities, your processes, your value streams, your applications, suddenly starts to create a discipline that helps you avoid the classic sort of layering and duplication that results in situations where you don't have an architecture like BIAN. We also go into the information model. Now, you saw earlier, there is a dedicated practitioner track for data architects, data modelers, etc. The architecture practitioner course does still give a treatment of the data model. It's not going to be as in-depth as what the data practitioner goes into, but it does cover the core concepts. And so what you will see through this course is that every service domain owns its information. Every service domain has a control record. And the business object model is a way to model these control records and these information concepts in a way that is enterprise-wide and enterprise reusable. So you'll see the difference between the control record model and the business object model, and why each exists and what their purposes are, and how you traverse between one or the other, how they relate. So there's a reasonably comprehensive treatment of the BIAN data model in the architecture practitioner course. Similarly, the solution design or developer course, practitioner course, will go much more into the semantic APIs. However, once again, this is given a treatment in the architecture practitioner course for completeness. And so you will get, there will be a section devoted and some time devoted to talking about the service operations that are exposed by service domains as the only means through which they interact and share data with other service domains, and how the semantic APIs are an expression of those service operations, and these endpoints basically create the exchanges between these capabilities in the bank. So just like every service domain can collectively models the capabilities of the bank, every service operation collectively models all the services within the bank. So it's given you get a pretty good walkthrough of that as well, and touching on the developer sort of practicalities of the published Swagger files and how they can be used as a starting point for development. I touched earlier on the importance of tailoring. So we are very, very clear that BIAN is a reference. It's not a rule book, right? There is no point if it's so rigid that you can't actually make use of it in your enterprise. Instead, it is absolutely intended to be tailored. It's intended to become your unique blueprint to your institution, and so the way in which you do that and how you cater for, say, your lines of business or your product lines or your channels is covered in this training. So you learn the importance of frames of reference and how you tailor for your particular viewpoint. Again, following the principles and patterns that retain BIAN's consistency. There's a big difference between just simply customizing it willy-nilly and then just ending up with something that has lost all the benefits of BIAN versus tailoring it to be relevant and valuable to your organization while retaining all the benefits that BIAN brings. So very, very important to equip yourself with that, especially if you're an architect applying BIAN in your organization. So with that, that kind of gives you a very quick kind of walkthrough of some of the topics and the treatment of those topics. Last but not least, there is the certification, right? So, and I don't know, Moritz, if you were planning to talk to this, I can just quickly cover it off, or was this where you took over?
No, you can continue.
Cool. So,
I can add on. Yeah.
Okay. We mentioned at the start that this is a certification course. So when you go through this training, you will be provided with course materials and the training pack itself, and you will be able to take these away to do your own self-learning and revision. There is a very comprehensive digital repository with pretty much everything available to members and non-members alike. So through the course, you'll learn to apply the framework, you'll learn the meta model, you'll learn the service landscape. You'll be able to go through the process of translating a strategic requirement or business requirement into a BIAN-aligned solution and evolving your modular interoperable architecture. You'll learn to navigate the repository and leverage artifacts, as well as tailor BIAN to your own enterprise. And the purpose of all of this is twofold. One is to equip you with the knowledge to apply BIAN in practice. The second is to equip you with the ability to demonstrate that competency through the certification. And so there is a certification that accompanies the training, and that will earn you the title of a BIAN certified banking architect practitioner, which can be shared on your LinkedIn profile. The reason certification is so valuable is twofold. One is for you, it proves that you can apply BIAN, not just understand it in a textbook sense. It builds your credibility as an architect, gives you a competitive edge in a increasingly crowded field, and it's a recognized shareable credential. So this represents an investment in you as an individual professional. But for your organization, the certification allows anyone who is certified, as they start to work together in the organization, to have that common architecture language, to be able to apply BIAN correctly to speed up adoption, to be able to apply it in the change and transformation, and ultimately to lower delivery risk as well. So there's a benefit to the organization. There's a benefit for you as an individual as well. The way the training is structured, it is very thorough. So it is multiple choice questions, 60 questions in 60 minutes. The pass mark doesn't seem that high, but rest assured, the questions are very, very tricky. And so you will absolutely need to understand, BIAN quite well to earn that coveted certification badge. And as part of this, you will be given, if you take up the certification, you will be given access to an unlimited number of practice questions as well. So it will, you will have ample resources to prepare to get certified. So hard to get certified, but you're given a lot of resources to help you do it. So hopefully with that, you'll be successful. And so if you are interested in the certification, the easiest way is get in touch by emailing info@bian.org, and they will respond very, very quickly. And so with that, I will take us back to Moritz, who will cover off a few more slides, and then we're going to go straight to Q&A and cover off any questions we couldn't answer earlier.
Yeah, thank you, Nishan, so far, and for elaborating everything in such detail. Again, if somebody has a question, do feel free to already ask, then we can prepare a bit. I was quite busy answering all the questions. So indeed, also a bit more about BIAN and becoming a member of BIAN. So below you can see the different BIAN memberships. These are flat fees, flat annual fees, so there's no hidden or additional cost. It doesn't matter how many, so this is per organization, doesn't matter how many individuals sign up per organization. So this can be 5 or it can be 1,000. It's an annual membership that the price has been established since 2008. So in that sense, you could consider it a great deal because where can you get a pricing in 2026 that is based out of 2008? I'm not sure what inflation rates, what the impact will be, but I'm quite sure they're considerable. So basically, it's a bargain. So that on the membership, feel free to reach out to BIAN if you're interested and if you want to benefit the membership, contribute to BIAN. And there's now also a lot of tools coming. Maybe we can discuss that a little bit during the Q&A. And when I say tools, I mean AI, cool AI stuff, if I can be so free to use that language. Yeah, so that's on this slide, and then I think we can already go to the Q&A.
I see we have a few questions that have come in as you have been talking, Moritz. So
Yeah. I figured that maybe so a few questions that were in during the call already. Maybe I can ask them to you, Nishan, and you can elaborate them in more detail.
sure.
Let's start with the subject, let's say, on the tongue of these days, AI. So one question came in about is there a course on AI? And I elaborated and basically I copied the words you once told me in a bar in Chicago that yes, BIAN is now creating a lot of AI solutions of how to apply AI. Maybe you can tell a bit more about those solutions, but also that before applying those solutions, regardless if an AI training course is coming or not, it's very important to have mastered the foundation and the practitioner course of BIAN, because if you supercharge your knowledge without having the knowledge, well, what's going to happen? So maybe you can tell a bit more about that.
Yeah. So I think firstly, the fundamentals are critical, right? So the foundation course, the architecture practitioner course, if you're an architect, is really, really essential to uh, applying the service domains correctly in your organization, because with service domains correctly defined, your business object model correctly defined, and your service operations or APIs correctly defined, you have the foundation for an agentic AI framework and the ability to harness a lot of the benefits that AI brings through clean interfaces, through clean data, through very, very clearly defined business capabilities with no ambiguity. While AI is very powerful, if you drop it on top of a mess, your risk of hallucination and errors compound significantly. What BIAN gives you is a way to set a foundation upon which AI can be applied. Now, in terms of what's happened around the AI space, because it is very topical, there's a few elements. There was a webinar a couple of weeks ago. If you didn't catch it, you should be able to go and see the recording on the BIAN website, in which Arnab Mitra, program lead in BIAN, shared about some of the tooling that BIAN have created, which starts to leverage AI to help banks speed up the implementation of BIAN. So think of this as AI helping you implement BIAN, which in turn helps you with AI. So there's a bit of a virtuous cycle there. So it is worth checking that out. The other piece we can talk to is on the CCNC side, we have developed a 2-day course on sort of how banks have successfully solved for scaling AI, and it is based on BIAN. So if you head on over to the CCNC website, you'll be able to find that as well, and you can shoot us an inquiry. The long story short is there's more that's going to be coming in this space. We're going to see AI being used to make it easier to navigate and apply BIAN and even take it to kind of code generation level. And we're going to see more and more around how the service domain model is an accelerator and a scale enabler for rolling AI out in your organization at a level or at a scale that starts to bring benefit rather than just kind of being a cute little pilot.
Yeah, thank
Hopefully
you.
that covered it.
Yeah, thank you for that. And maybe I answered it in the chat, but maybe, and this is hard because you probably don't want to self-advocate, but there were questions. How can I enroll for this training course?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you can elaborate how people can enroll for the BIAN Banking Architecture Practitioner training course.
Yeah, so there's a couple of ways. You can head on over to the BIAN website. So as we said earlier, you can email info@bian.org or go to the BIAN website, and you'll be able to put your query there. As we saw earlier, there are accredited training providers, Envision, Play Digital, and CCNC ourselves. So if you go to those websites, you will also find the details on how to enroll. I can obviously speak to the CCNC website. If you go to ccncsolutions.com, there will be a menu option to kind of look at the BIAN offerings, and in there you'll see the various courses and e-learning options as well. And we also, if you're an enterprise, so if you're a bank, we can also do tailored training. So what we've done before with banks is we've been asked sometimes to come in and anchor the training around a particular use case or around a transformation program, and so we can do that as well and make it even more relevant to your organization. So the short answer: email info@bian.org if you want to go through BIAN itself, and they will direct you to the right training partner, or you can go to the ones that we saw earlier on the slide, including CCNC Solutions, and submit your inquiry there as well, and someone will get back to you.
Yeah, thank you. Then there is a more bomb question, Nishan. So I think this one is more for you. It's the one that's now on top in the Q&A.
Okay, let me see. Open question. How are vendor solutions / banks leveraging BOM control records in their design process? I've only observed API, which are BIAN enabled. So kindly share insights on how and where BOM and control records can be leveraged. Yeah, it's a great question. Look, APIs are the most visible aspect of BIAN, right? So if you have already implemented a piece of software, the easiest thing you can do is apply a facade or a layer around it that says, okay, these are BIAN aligned APIs that I've exposed. You don't need to know how it was implemented under the hood. You can just call these APIs, and as far as you're concerned, you're interacting with a BIAN aligned or BIAN compatible capability. Now, what the organizations we work with have taken it a step further. So the underlying messages that the APIs exchange are based on the control record model. And so banks and credit unions that we work with are finding it extremely useful in some instances to actually start with the data model rather than with the API, and to go and map, identify your data concepts, your data objects, what is customer, what is party, what is arrangement, what is payment. And because the BIAN business object model gives you a starting point for this, by aligning to that, you then find that designing your APIs almost becomes a natural extension of that. So your message structure itself and your API endpoint and the shape of it starts to reflect your data model. And that level of consistency starts to pay off, because once you've established the data model, the API work actually speeds up. So we work with plenty of institutions at the moment that are doing this. And again, very happy to answer further if you want to reach out. You'll find my details on LinkedIn, or if you again head over to CCNC Solutions, you can email us at info@ccncsolutions.com. And I'll be happy to take you through that.
Yeah, thank you, Nissan, for that. Um, yeah, I think you can maybe also answer the next question. I think all, but maybe you can explain that.
Yeah, which banking segments or businesses are covered by BIAN models? Retail banking, commercial, wholesale, private, crypto, payments also included. So the short answer is yes to all of it. Crypto, uh, not so much from the crypto side, and I could be wrong on this. As far as I'm aware, the elements of crypto that maybe are common to kind of just payments and dealing with sort of information exchange, you might find things in the BIAN model that covers it. As far as I'm aware, there's no crypto specific service domains. Again, if I'm wrong, someone please reach out and correct me. But everything else that's listed here, retail banking, commercial, wholesale, private, and payments are absolutely all covered. BIAN, while the model is complete from a banking capability perspective, in terms of the depth, in terms of the content within those capabilities, there are varying degrees of completion, right? So retail banking is very well elaborated and has been for many years. Other areas are still undergoing input and feedback from members. There are active working groups that are fleshing these out. So while you will find a good starting point and certainly shouldn't scare you away from using it, what you'll find is over time, these areas will continue to mature as well. So that's and look, insurance is an area that BIAN has just in the last sort of 18 months has started leaning into, mainly the insurance on the product side, so banks that offer insurance products as opposed to insurance companies, but that might be an area that it sort of continues to expand in as well.
Yeah, thank you. And I think we answered it, but maybe not in enough detail. So maybe it's good if we also elaborate on which other courses are currently being developed, which are the solution architecture course and top of my mind. Um,
Business transformation.
yeah, exactly. Business
Yeah,
transformation
so
course.
let me zoom us all the way back to the roadmap here. Okay, perfect. So yeah, so in terms of what's there now, so there's the essentials level, the foundation, architecture practitioners available, data practitioners available, solution design is imminent, business transformation practitioners coming later this year. So a couple of these are still landing, but we fully expect that by the end of this year, these will all be there. Again, does not stop you from starting this learning journey, particularly if you're looking at applying BIAN now. The foundation and the available practitioner courses will definitely get you on the right track straight away.
Yeah, thank you. And then I think you did answer this one, Nishan, but the question was how BIAN defines architecture relates to enterprise architecture frameworks, such as TOGAF, considering that BIAN is industry specific, while
Yeah,
TOGAF is cross-industry.
yeah, no, it's a good question. So think of it this way: TOGAF will lay out a methodology. So there's the ADM, the architecture development methodology, and it's kind of, for those who've done TOGAF, you'll be familiar with the kind of 8 or 9 spoke sort of wheel and hub with requirements in the center. So starting with your vision and setting your architecture, and then kind of going into your business layer, application layer, etc. So all that's a methodology, right? It's industry agnostic. It's a very structured and well-regarded way to kind of approach your architecture change projects. Think of BIAN as giving you the content for that methodology, right? So TOGAF will tell you kind of how you can go about doing these things, but it's silent on the what, in terms of, okay, if you're a bank, then what is that reference architecture in terms of your capability model, in terms of your services. TOGAF doesn't attempt to sort of wade into that area. So the very, very simple way to think of it is BIAN as a content model, TOGAF as a methodology. The two can work very, very well hand in hand. And in fact, both the training and the certification exam covers. There's a section that sort of tests your understanding of how the two work together. So hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, thank you. Then, and to add on that, so BIAN is a reference architecture. However, it's so complete that if you are active in a different industry where there's no reference architecture, or it's a reference architecture that is not as mature, the overlap of buying and other, how should I say, industries is quite large. I'm happy to say it's 80%. Maybe I'm lying, but the overlap is very. You could use it in other industries as
Mm.
well, but it aims at financial service industry.
Yeah. A good way to
That's,
think about it is, if you strip away the nuances of banking, right? I mean, I like to. I mean, banking, I think, likes to think of itself as special, and in some ways it is. But running a business is about offering products and services to customers through channels, and being able to trade those products and services for value, through payment, right? So the core concepts of who's a customer or a party, what sort of arrangement do they enter into with you, how do you exchange value for goods and services, what are those goods and services, what are those products, those concepts are as old as probably since we lived in caves, right? And we're trading furs and rocks for food and whatever. The core, a lot of what is there in BIAN is absolutely leverageable for other industries, and there are, we're aware of pockets where that is happening. And then the banking specific stuff and some of the kind of instruments and capabilities that are unique to banking are there as well. But yeah, your point's very valid, Moritz.
yeah, thank you. And I believe that in the Netherlands, at least, there will be an event in, if I'm not mistaken, November or October, really showing this difference. So in the Netherlands, the energy sector is already looking at, okay, what can we learn from Bayern since it's so advanced? But okay, that's a little preview. Then the next question from Juan. Hi, Juan. Great for you to join. Nishan, would you like to answer this one? This is really
Yes,
easy.
I'm going to make sure I'm looking at the right one. Is this okay? Does BIAN continue to advocate for the use of BIAN business capabilities? In business architecture, the elements in a value stream, value stage is typically connected to business capabilities, which then link to service domains. This is a great question, right? So, and there's a few parts to this, and I'll attempt to do this justice. There's a there's a considerable amount of work that's been going in, particularly last year and this year, into how you bridge from value streams to service domains. And we're going to see more literature come out on this. The short answer is okay. So BIAN has a business capability model defined out of the box. Do you have to use that? Absolutely not. If you have your own in a bank, you can absolutely start with yours. And we've actually worked with banks where we've done nothing other than map their banking business capability model to the service domains, and that's provided business architecture with a bridge into technology for defining capabilities and scoping projects and things like that, right? So you could absolutely use your own business capability model. The sort of area BIAN wants to push into and show value in is that there is absolutely a way that you can link your service domains into these value stream stages and value streams and up into your business capability model. And the way BIAN is designed lends itself very, very well to doing that, because you can think of a service domain as a process step, or you can think of it as a value stage, a value stream stage step. And so there is an absolutely BIAN is going to continue advocating for this area. Now, the Business Architecture Guild are no longer listed as academic partners. There were some sort of details and nuances with the use of some of the material, which needed some time to work through. So they've temporarily been taken off the list. But the work that goes on in that space, again, BIAN is never going to be in conflict with it, right? You're not going to have to ever worry about, do I need to choose between BizBock and BIAN? Like that's not an issue.
Yeah, thank you. You're welcome, Juan. And the next one is about the solution design practitioner course. So again,
Yep.
it's still being developed. I hope there's quite some content created, but also still some work needs to be done. The prerequisite anyway is having done the foundation course. So
Mhm.
that's for all the courses. The prerequisite is having done the foundation course and exam, and that you do the practitioner course. You need to have done with a accredited training partner in person. And when I say in person, I mean or virtually or physically. but you need to join a course. So you cannot do this through a e-learning or whatever. And the training partners, they're listed on the BIAN website, listed on the Van Hagen website, and both Van Hagen or BIAN can recommend you to any of them. And Nish here is from CCNC, who is an accredited education partner. And then what the course is about, that Nissan will elaborate. Because,
Uh,
yeah,
yeah, so the solution design practitioner course goes more into the application of the service operations and APIs in constructing or designing a solution, right? So in the same way that data practitioner sort of goes much deeper into the business object model and control record model and the data model, the solution designer will go much deeper into service operations and APIs, and be very much focused around application of BIAN in designing solutions.
yeah, thank you, Nish. And so then the follow-up question is, when will it be ready? I really hope to evade this question. So I hope it will be ready Q3, Q4. There's a few details that we need to align on to get it finalized. Already a lot of work has been created. I hope, I think it's going to be more Q4, but I hope we are ready by then. But yeah, I guess that's the answer. Hopefully Q4.
Cool. I see we're almost out of time, so
Yeah,
Moritz, I guess we'll wrap it up. I'll just
yeah,
add one other, maybe by way of closing. I mean, first of all, obviously, thank you everyone for your time and your questions. They were great. I can see there's been a lot of interest in this. The in terms of upcoming webinars, there is another one actually in a week. So they're kind of back to back. If you go onto the BIAN website and go into the kind of webinar section, you will see that the next webinar on June 9th is on how you can take BIAN and use it for your kind of boardroom intelligence layer. So it's titled Service Domains to Strategic Decisions. And it's an in-depth sort of treatment on specifically how you use BIAN to address strategic questions and insights. So it'll be super interesting, and there'll be a sort of tool demo as well. So I highly encourage you to attend that. But otherwise, I will close it off at this point. And please do reach out through info@bian.org or hop on over to the CCNC Solutions website if you want to continue the discussion.
yeah, absolutely. And if you have more questions, feel free to reach out to info@bind.org. All the Q&A answers will be sent to you, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, thank you for joining, and hopefully see you next time. And stay in touch.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.